and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic C3 live stream. I know we're a little bit late, about 10, 12 minutes late, but there were some technical issues with the live stream, so trying to fix those before myself and my guest sit down here and talk about C3. The C stands for Anthology. So since we're running a little bit behind, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it. I would like to introduce my guest for this live stream, Katie Lohr. And Katie, let's see. There you are. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, now that we fixed the problem, much better. But let's start off with the question that I've been asking everybody with these live streams is how did you get involved with C3?
Well, I've been living in Columbus since 2013. I left for 2 years and came back, but I was in Sunday Comics, a group that used to exist a long time ago. I volunteer with CXC, Columbus Crossroads, um, and C3 kind of it does things that Sunday Comics kind of did too. And so, like, once that ended, I was looking for something similar. And then C3 tends to have a table at CXC. So I was kind of able to connect with them through that and then get on board.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your contribution to the C stands for Anthology. Could you tell the viewers, the listeners, whatnot, what your contribution is all about?
Yeah, I've got a one pager in this volume. It's a little bit of a mashup of like my major projects, really. I've got like a running uh, theme of like me and my cat in Columbus and like sort of misadventures. There's like it's been in the Columbus Scribbler, and then it's in one of the volumes of O Comics. So it kind of just appears in different places, but it's like me and my cat. And so they're in there, and then I'm co-creating a fantasy series with my friend Shireen Rashida, and some of those characters are in there. And then some of the Melancholy Evil Pop-Tart characters are in there.
So the strip about you and your cat, is that the pro tips
Yeah,
comic?
yeah.
Okay. All right. That has appeared in the Columbus Scribbler as well as you mentioned also O Comics, which of course is Bob Corby's fantastic independent comic. So we'll talk about a couple of those other projects here in a moment. But why did you decide that you had to participate in the C stands for Anthology?
Um,
Or let me rephrase that as why did you decide to? But yeah, the phrasing of that first one sounded very demanding and authoritative. I apologize. Why did you? So what was going through your mind when you thought, yes, I'm gonna go ahead and contribute to the anthology?
um, it it sounded like a cool project, and I wanted to. I'm still. I want to be a more active member of C3, and I wanted to like push myself to contribute more and like be a more active member. So I kind of was like, well, this is like C stands for, and like that's kind of like a bigger thing with this group. So it's something I should like make sure to be a part of.
Is one of the other creators said that they felt like if they didn't do it, and this is going to sound awful, but I don't mean it in any negative way. I really don't. But they felt like they had to do it because they are a part of this community in Columbus, Ohio. Even you can expand it out that they're part of this comics creative clique in Ohio itself, right? And
Mhm.
so they felt like if they didn't do it, they're kind of doing a disservice to
Mm.
C3. Does that make sense? I mean, that
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's a better way of putting it. Yeah, because like it felt more important than some of the other previous anthology calls.
yeah, yeah. So I think that from that person's point of view, that you kind of in a positive way you had to do it, not in a negative way or anything along those lines. So, what do you think is the best part about being with C3?
There's just a lot of resources. Like there's we have a chat section for like opportunities for like being running a table at a comic convention, or opportunities of places looking for comic work, places looking for comic writers or comic artists, any kind of questions you have that could come up. There's times work sessions in which we'll all kind of work on our stuff, but be kind of connected digitally. So like there's some accountability there and a push to help you, keep going with work if you need that. And there's quite a lot of people in it now. But yeah, I think the availability of resources is awesome.
And if you're interested in joining C3, here's the Discord link. That's step one. So stop on over and then go right into the Discord and have some fun with the folks of C3. Well, let's talk. One thing you mentioned, Kate, was this idea of all the resources that are available, and that's what this anthology is all about. Because unlike some other crowdfunding campaigns, this one's got a unique set of tiers, and unfortunately, producer Sydney is not here backstage feeding me the info, so I do apologize that I don't have up to the minute dollar totals. So I apologize for those folks watching or listening, but the information for this crowdfunder campaign is right now. No matter how much money is raised, every contributor is going to get $5 to their page rate. And the last time that I checked with Sydney, I think we were about $192 away from raising that page rate to $10. Everybody gets $10. So again, that's at the $950 mark. If we manage to get to the $1,550 mark, then the page rate jumps up to $15, and then anything over that, $20 is the page rate. And Kate, I know that you probably would agree with me. All of this money is going back to the artists, and you need money for your projects, right? I mean, that's the sad truth of it all. You have no money, you're not going to get your project off the floor, so to speak, or off the ground, excuse me. So, folks, help out. People like Kate, people like Robert, Kelsey, all the fine folks I've sat down and chatted with, they are definitely in need of some cash, and C3 is determined to give back to the community. All right, Kate, let's talk a little bit about you. We'll come back and talk some more about the anthology, but let's talk a little bit about you. When did you discover that you were a creative individual? Like, in terms of writing or drawing or whatnot, were you one of those kids that were always coming up with stories, always drawing stories, etc.?
Yeah, I definitely was a creator from a young age. I think I got interested in comics when I was like 6 or so. My mom would read the newspaper and give me the funny pages, so I, would read like the Peanut strips and Mutts and all that. And then when I was like 8 or so, I got really into Pokemon and started trying to make my own individual Pokemon comic stories. Writing was a little bit later, but I mean, still elementary. And I've kind of like just balanced the two passions for kind of most of my life. My master's degree is actually in writing, but I've pushed to get an independent study in comics and was able to make comics at least part of my thesis.
Now, you went to OSU for undergrad, correct? And your master's. Did I
My
read
master's
also?
I got at Miami in Oxford.
Okay. I was going to ask. I thought that I read somewhere that you also attended Miami. So that was for the master's program.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Could you or would you be so bold as to compare the two universities? I've never been to Miami U. Are they similar? Are they different? Or
Well, I mean, I think just like the graduate school versus undergraduate is going to be a very different experience. The town was very different. Oxford is a small town, whereas Columbus is capital of the state, so it's a much bigger place. And OSU is a bigger campus. Um, Certain things are similar, certain like opportunities, guest speakers and like lectures on various things. OSU has the Billy Ireland Cartoon Library, so like that's awesome. and Columbus does have a better comics community. There are people who like comics at Miami and in Oxford. Like I did like work with like my independent study was with a professor who does teach classes on comics. But I just think that OSU has more
Hmm.
because it's bigger, you know.
Yeah.
Um, Miami's good. It was kind of probably good for me to be somewhere smaller so that I'm forced to work on my work. I was quite productive there. I could say that.
Are you a little bit of a procrastinator?
No, I do too much. I take on
Oh.
too much. I try to do everything. And if there's more to do, then there's more to do.
Well, you spoke of the Billy Ireland cartoon. There's the website info. Some folks are watching and are like, "What is this thing?" First of all, go to the website. Secondly, get your rear end in a car and get on out here to Columbus because it's amazing. The museum is unbelievable. I just got to say it with the programming that they have down there and just the sheer amount of uh, I don't know how to. I don't know. I don't want to say something that's disrespectful to it, but like the archives, the archives. That's the word I was looking for.
It's amazing. It's the
It
biggest,
is.
isn't it the biggest cartoon library in America?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was blessed to have a tour, kind of backstage during one of the weeks of CXC, and I couldn't believe I was standing by like original prints of like this comic and this strip, and I was like, holy cow! I can't believe like this is history. This is living history right here. So
You have to wear gloves to touch.
yeah, yeah. Well, they looked at me and go, "You're not touching anything, buddy. Keep moving." So, but one of the things that I read on your website is that you tend to focus on some serious issues in your writing and in your comic creation. Has there ever been a time where you wanted to tackle a very serious topic but had a real challenge in trying to present that topic without being too extreme or maybe going you know what, I want to do this but I don't know how to do it, just like I said, I don't know how to do it respectfully, I don't know how to do it, and did you find a way to work around that?
Yeah, I think that might be one of the things I learned in grad school was to like pull back a step from things. I think I have a bit of a tendency to be dramatic and like, make it, a bigger thing. And grad school kind of like helped me learn to like pull back and like those heavy moments just kind of touch upon it. People are going to pick it up and it's not going to be as like heavy when they're like, oh God,
Mm-hmm.
um, so I think that's something I've gotten a little more now than I perhaps used to.
I'm not saying that it's not important to dive into those serious issues, by the way, for those folks that are watching that. I'm just saying that uh, when you talk about things like suicide and when you talk about things about like social commentary and that, sometimes the way it's phrased greatly impacts the message. If you want the message to be one thing and the way it's constructed or created might not necessarily fit that well, then you got yourself a mixed message. And I think that most creators, and unless I'm wrong, Kate, you can tell me, John, you're completely wrong and ignorant of the process, but I would think that that's the fine line that you have to balance.
Yeah. Although I will say like everybody works differently,
Sure.
but yeah, I think yeah, subtlety can go a longer way and
Mm-hmm.
makes people think more. And you're doing just them a disservice when you spell everything out and just hand it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's a good fine line to walk.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Melancholy Evil Pop Tart, which sounds like one wild adventure. So let's let the folks know, what is that summary or what is that project all about?
That is a comic that I made and self-published in like 2014. It had started as a kind of just like practice exercise. Um, when I was in middle school, me and several of my friends would like make little comic adventures and pass them around. Actually, the friend I'm collaborating on the YA fantasy series. Shuri Moshida was part of that group, and she does like manga work now. She's based out of Iowa, um, and she's got quite a few manga titles. Anyway, um, we would pass around the little notebook and whatever. So like when I was like older and kind of going through some stuff, I kind of like revisited it and like made a new story with the same characters. And it's kind of, he's depressed and alcoholic searching for a meaning in life, and we've all kind of moved on and are doing different things. And he goes through a few different situations, makes friends, they're not exactly good, and you get ideas of what's going on, our real life adult situations going on, counterbalanced with this like childhood silliness because he's an evil Pop Tart, and whatever misadventures. It's not the most streamlined story because I made it in kind of bits and pieces. And it was like a web comic before I had it self published. I if I can ever get the time, I want to go back and like fill it in a little bit more and maybe make it a little more streamlined and just add some more to it. But I don't know when that will actually happen. I've got 2 jobs right now.
All right, well, let's talk about, you've had quite a few pieces of work, displayed in the Columbus Scribbler and the Black Warrior Review and Longridge Review. Can you tell us the first time that you saw your work displayed or in a literary magazine or in some publication? What was that like, and how did it make you feel?
Um, also, very exciting. Yeah, there is something about print that just, holding a real copy that feels good. I think my first publication was at Sinclair Community College in Dayton, Ohio. I think it was a short story, um, and that was cool. It was very exciting. I try to like have like a little shelf where I keep the stuff, the physical copies of things. Um, Comic wise, it might have been Belligerent Kitties by
Ken Epstein.
Ken Epstein. Yeah, I think that was the first. That or it might have been Melancholy for Pop Tart.
Today I'm using my Belligerent Kitties coffee mug that I got
Oh,
from Ken.
that's awesome.
What
Yeah,
a coincidence.
yeah. I love cats. I got a belligerent one back there somewhere. So like as soon as I heard about this, like, oh, I got to do that. I'm in both volumes. I think I have like more than one cat even.
Yeah, that was a very ingenious project from Ken. It was a great
Yeah,
job on that.
it's fun and it's funny. Like I loved sharing that one.
Yeah, it's great. Well, let's talk about a three-panel comic that you have been working on for 1870 magazine. Could you talk to us a little bit about that project?
Oh well, that is no longer an active project, but
Oh,
in 2017, I think it was. I was a contributing creator for 1870 magazine. It would just be like a 3 panel based on whatever the theme was. So it was mostly like, kind of autobio comics. And I would give them like a few ideas and they would be like, okay, well, go with that one. So it was like, run by the editor first. I didn't have like complete free reign of whatever. That one, I did that one with um, grayscale markers. Um, that's what I was into at the time. But it was a cool gig, like, and that was nice, like having a regular, you know, um, comic publication coming out. Like that was cool, and the process of coming up with ideas and running them by the editor and like getting like, well, maybe change this a little bit was like a different comics creating experience versus like self-publishing your own, having that feedback with things. So I think it was a cool experience, and I think I did grow from it.
cool. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was. I hate to use the term like more of the corporate model where you have an editor to thing. So that obviously is something that I think that you could take a lot out of. One thing you mentioned the particular style of markers that you were using. Is there any particular artwork or art style, excuse me, that you really want to try but you haven't tried yet?
I've actually never done much of like digital drawing. It's mostly affording the technology issue. Um, uh, but yeah, I mean, there's some really cool stuff that's done through computer artwork, and I've always been a very just traditional hand creation person. Um, yeah, that's a big one. I had a tablet at one point, and I literally broke it in a week. And then I can't.
Well,
I'm currently in need of a new laptop. I can't run Photoshop anymore. That's a bit of a hindrance. But
real
uh,
quickly to interject, getting a new laptop is one of the things I hate about podcasting. Like if I'm a, like this one, knock on wood, this one that I have is from 2018, and I'm like, just keep on for oblivion. Don't make me redo another reformat another hard drive and all that happy-go-lucky crap. I'm like, I hate doing that. Like,
and to do like artwork, to have Photoshop and those high, those big files, you have to get a good one. You can't get, just some cheap thing.
no, you're absolutely right because audio and video files are massive. So you're right. Like half of my, in fact, I just, on top of all the other technical issues we've had, Kate, I actually also got an alert this morning that my Google Drive is at capacity. I'm like, great, fantastic.
Yeah.
So I have to offload files because I kind of do that. I offload them onto a portable drive. But that was step one and what should have been probably a quick omen that how this was going to go today. But you know what? You know what? We got it working. I'm not gonna complain anymore. We got it working. Let's talk about inspiration, Kate. Who or what inspires you when you sit down to do a new project?
I think it varies by the project. Um,
Oh,
Sometimes it's places, sometimes it's concepts, sometimes it's because I do fiction and nonfiction, and I kind of just jump around between things. Um, so sometimes with nonfictions, it's like something I want to work out, or some like some like um, conflicting concepts, or something I want to you know ponder on, or spend more time over. And then with fiction, it depends on the project. Or sometimes it'll be like a character that I just want to explore and put through some shit.
do you have one that you prefer? Do you prefer fiction over nonfiction, or is it kind of equal? Like, yeah, I like both.
Yeah, it's I like both, and it's kind of like where I am at the time and what mood I'm in and so forth. I've always kind of not wanted to get pigeonholed into like one thing, so I try to kind of intentionally float around. Like I'll write a novel, and then I'll do a flash fiction, and then I'll do a comic, and then I'll do a screenplay, and kind of just bounce around.
I think that's important because I just 2 days ago spoke with Carl Lucas about this. Is that having a variety in your you know in your projects is a good thing, especially when you're coming from the aspect of being tabling at a con and being there and trying to sell your work. That and I'm sure you agree with me, having like a nonfiction piece or a fiction piece or science fiction story or a slice of life story, that's incredibly important for creators.
Yeah, I think like when you stay just working on one thing and you never do anything else, that's when it starts to be more like work. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when you like stagnate and feel stuck. But like when you switch up what you're doing, it keeps fresh. It keeps you, new neurons growing. Keeps your um, keeps you growing.
Okay. All right, last couple of questions here, Kate, and then we're going to start wrapping things up. We'll talk about the crowdfunder one more time. As you see, the information for the crowdfunder is right there on the scroll. So, why is Ohio such a great place for independent creators?
That's a great question. I don't know, but it is. It's awesome. Columbus is such a great city for comics and just weebs and creators. It's a very expressive city. Just a lot of unique and independent thinkers. I mean, anytime you're in a city, you are going to get people who are pushers of boundaries. Maybe because Columbus does have, or not Columbus, Ohio does have, there are some cornfields out here, some of the Ohio stereotypes, are real, but there's always a natural balance to things. So as, uh, particular as the outskirts are, our cities are that much more alive with independent thinkers and creatives and, very unique, expressive individuals.
Okay. Well, I'm going to run down the crowdfunder, but I'm going to let you know, Kate, I want to hear your pitch for the crowdfunder in a minute or two. Is that okay? I'll give you the heads up. Okay, I'll give you the heads up there. So let's talk about it before we hear Kate's pitch of why you should pick up the anthology. Let's talk about it one more time. The C stands for Anthology. Right down here in the scroll, it's on Crowdfunder. It is live. There's the website. We still have about 10 more days left of the campaign, so you definitely want to check it out. Again, everyone's getting $5 because we have some donations, but then $950. That's the next little limit, little perk, whatever you want to call it. If we get to $950, which we're super close to, everyone gets a page rate of $10. $1,550, everybody gets a page rate of $15, and anything over $1,550, everybody gets $20 page rate. All the money that is collected is going to go back to the local creators and artists. And look, I just said it, we got about 10 more days. We can do this. We can get above 1550. Absolutely. It's going to happen. I'm sure of it. And so Kate, did I do a decent job on my pitch? All right, let's hear yours. Why someone should pick up the anthology.
So this anthology is a great sampling of some of the great comics creators coming out of both Ohio and Columbus, and maybe even some beyond. It's like how DC and Vertigo would do the sampler comics. You can get a taste for so many different awesome, cool stories, and you are supporting independence and creation outside of corporate when you purchase this volume and check out these artists.
Well done, Kate. Awesome. So let's do this real quick. Let's plug a few things real quick. First of all, if you're interested in C3, Instagram.com, c3.ohio. I believe also, too, this is the Ko-Fi or Ko-Fi.com for the Columbus Cartoon Coalition. Also, YouTube, same at Columbus Cartoon Coalition, so you can check all of those out. Let's talk about where Kate can be found. Kate, at kate.e.lore. Is that for Facebook, Twitter? Talk to us
That's
about.
Instagram, Threads, Facebook. I think it's Writer Lore. On TikTok, it's Katie Chaos.
Okay. All right. Well, let's again just highlight that C stands for crowdfunder going on right now down there where it's scrolling. I can't mention it enough. We should probably also show some love real quick as well to CXC. You're wearing the shirt. So it is coming up September 26th through the 29th here in Columbus, Ohio. So much programming, so many cool things going on that week. Everybody who's affiliated with CXC, they bust their rump to make this a reality and make it a truly unique experience. Gonna also real quickly show some love for space. There is the information for space. It's already happened for 2024, but I know Bob Corby's working on it for next year, so definitely check that out. And with that, real quickly, throw up my social media stuff real quick. PVDcast.com is where you can hear the podcast. Facebook, IG threads at PVDcast. Also below my screen here. Let's see, where did that go? Oops. There we go. There's the X handle or the Twitter handle at PVDMVP. Kate, thank you so very much for sitting down and chatting with me today. Sorry about the technical issues, but again, I said I wasn't gonna. Look, I broke my own rule. I said I wasn't gonna talk about it anymore. Right?
It's fine.
All right. Well, nonetheless, thank you for joining us. I really do appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to tell the fans real quick before we close up shop?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, with that, Kate, thanks so very much. And as I say when I close each one of these live streams, I'll chat at each and every one of you later.